Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to recap the trades we took last week and the 15 stocks that I'm going to call out for this week. So the way I find these stocks is I basically apply the same philosophy that I do when I'm day trading on the quicker time frame. I use the 3-minute and the 1-minute candlesticks to do my day trades. So I basically just apply that same philosophy on the daily chart and the weekly chart. And the reason why I use the weekly chart is for that extra verification, and it really helps out my accuracy when I'm calling out the stocks that I think have potential, the potential to gap up within the next 5 days. And anyways, before we get into the recap, if you guys find this content valuable, all I ask is that you hit the like button and the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, please leave them on the comments down below. The three of these things help out the channel tremendously, and it lets the YouTube algorithm know that it could show these videos to other viewers who are interested in the stock market. And like I said, it only supports this channel, and I promise I'll continue to make these videos on a weekly basis for you guys. Again, all I ask is that you support this channel in some way by liking and subscribing, and I would appreciate that tremendously. But with that aside, let's get to the recap from last week. So the first stock that we had was ES, and basically the way I try to see if a trade was success or not, so I look at the closing price from last to last week. So that was July 10th, and that was this candlestick right here, and the closing price was $85.44. And then I look at, okay, then the week after, which was obviously July 13th, that Monday, between that Monday through Friday, you know, how high did that stock reach? And we had a high of $88.14. So from the close of $85.44 to a high of $88.14, for a mid $80 stock, I consider that to be a success. You know, there's enough room within that range to make a profit, whether you wanted to day trade it or swing trade it. So that's how I determine if I consider a trade successful or not when I call it out beforehand. So ES was definitely a success. The next stock I had in mind was NI. So NI, the closing price on the 10th was $23.57, and it looks like it hit a resistance of this 100-day SMA, and so it reached a high of $24.41, and for a small cap stock, that's not bad at all. And so sometimes you have to look out for these moving averages as key resistant levels. I believe this stock is still in my list for this week, just based on continuation, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let's just finish out the recap. The next stock was SAFT, and I'll try to fly by these as quickly as I can. So the closing price on the 10th was $76.26, and it reached a high of $80.79. I also like the fact that it was strong and it broke this 100-day SMA as well. Next stock, sorry, let me just pull up my phone. I lost my list. Is Mnro. All right, so closing price on the 10th was $57.48, and it reached a high of $61.10. Not bad. Moving on, TXN, Texas Instruments, had a closing price of $130.53, and it reached a high of $135. Not bad at all. All right, next stock was Microchip Mchp. So with this stock, the closing price of last to last week was $106.61, and although it technically did, you know, beat that closing price and it reached a high of $110.12 afterwards, I'm not going to take credit for this trade because let's see, if we switch over to the 180-day 4-hour chart, majority of that move happened pre-market. So let's see where we're at. This is the 14th. This is the 10th. Okay, yeah. So this was basically the last candlestick for the 10th, And as you can see, even though it did break the closing price, majority of the move did happen pre-market and then it just sold off. So there wasn't really enough opportunity to make money there. You had to be quick and in and out to really capitalize on it. Really, you probably had to have bought here at the end of last week in order to capture this move. So it'd be unfair for me to say like, oh, I called this correctly. So I'm definitely not going to take credit for that. And yeah, so let's move on to the next stock. Pulling back my list up again, and that is Berkshire. So this one was one of the bigger winners. So the closing price I called this out on was 182.90, and it reached a high of 193.05. Looks like it still has more room to run, but it's not one of the stocks that I'm calling out for this week. But regardless, that's something you guys can take a look at. So definitely not a bad trade from last week. Next stock is ETR. This would be Entergy Corp. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the closing price on this was, let's go to the 10th, 98.15, and it reached a high of $100.54. So still not that bad. And it looks like it could still have room to run. But again, not one of the stocks that I have on my weekly watch list for this week. Next stock is GBT. That would be Global Blood Therapeutics. I called this out at a closing price of 71.12, and it reached a high of 75. Then it pulled back, and that looks like it's retesting those highs again. So we'll see what happens with that stock. Next stock would be BKH, Black Hills Corp. Closing price of $59.92, and it reached a high of $62.68. All right, I mean, decent trade to make profit, quick profits there. NNVC I was totally wrong on, which is the next stock. So the reason why I called this stock out last week was because, this stock gapped up, gapped down, curved, gapped up, gapped down, curved. So we were sort of approaching that same pattern again, except, I failed tremendously. The closing price on the 10th was $7.58, and it definitely gapped down like almost $1. So definitely could have done better with that trade. Next stock is Sony SNE. Got to pick up the speed here. So this stock I liked because it obviously broke highs after a very long time. Closing price on Friday was $73.94, and it reached a high of $77.88. So look out for that stock to see if it can make a move higher. Cmcm. Again, similarly with the Mchp, I believe that was a stock that I called out, but even though, let's see, where's the 10th? Closing price was $276. It did reach a high of $298, and that's a good move for a penny stock, but nonetheless, I think majority of this move did happen pre-market, so you had to be quick. Then eventually it sold off, so I don't want to take credit for that. Next stock is Bgcp. We're almost done. So we called this out at 272, and it reached a high of 298. Again, not bad for a penny stock. All right, and then HTZ, I wasn't necessarily right or wrong with Hertz. This was basically a break-even trade. I called it out on Friday of last week at $1.45 closing price, and it reached a high of $1.55. And ever since, it's in between, it's been consolidating. So who knows what's going to happen? It's not a stock I'm calling for my weekly watch list this week, but who knows, it could potentially make a move back up higher. And then the last stock was a bonus stock, and this was probably one of the best stocks actually. This was Virgin Galactic's SPCE. I called this out again on the 10th. And the closing price was $19.25. It reached a high of $24.78. big percentage move for the small cap stock. So definitely a successful week last week. And so without further ado, let's move on to this week. First stock, ES, which is Eversource Energy. This is a first stock we actually called out last week, and I'm going to go ahead and call it out again for this week. I believe this is a continuation play just based on the daily chart, but especially on the weekly chart. Switch over to the weekly chart. So, this was a reversal study a couple of weeks ago here, and then it sort of consolidated, and now I really think it's going to make that move up. It never necessarily made that move yet after this reversal study went off, so I think this week is a week that happens. The next stock, again, similarly with ES, I'm also calling out NI, which is what I called out last week as well. A reversal signal went off right here. It gapped up, obviously, this last week, and I believe it could continue. The only thing I'm hesitant about is that we did approach the 20 EMA, and last week did serve as a resistance point on the 20 EMA, and the daily chart, you could also make a case, looked a little bit bearish too, because it hit a resistance right here on the 100-day SMA. So it's possible it could pull back. In fact, I could even say it's likely it could pull back before actually making a move up. So the thing I'm worried about is if we go back over to the weekly chart, okay, is it this week that it makes a move up, or does it consolidate first before breaking out again? So not as much conviction with this trade, but I'm going to keep it on my watch list nonetheless. The next stock that I have for this week is, it's an ETF, is SVXY. SVXY. So this is a weekly chart. Reversal signal went out. This is a bullish doji stick, and hopefully we could see a move past the high of last week and up to this high, not high, but this moving average of the 20 EMA. So that could be a good 3-4 point move. Daily chart. So hopefully this could continue at least to the 100-day SMA, but if it breaks above it, again, want to see that move up to 35, 36. See what happens. Next stock is IDA, which is Idacorp. This is a daily chart. I like the fact that Friday we broke the 100-day SMA, so definitely looking for that continuation play and a move higher. But I picked this stock not because of the daily chart. I like the weekly chart especially. This was a reversal signal that just went out right here. Actually, I may have to retract that because after taking a second look, obviously it got rejected right here by the 20 EMA. But I'm still going to hold this trade, thinking it's going to gap up next week. But I think I may have missed this the first time. But yeah, obviously last week it stopped at the 20 EMA, so hopefully it doesn't pull back. But nonetheless, stock to keep on watch. Next stock is BX. So, like in the weekly chart, hopefully it can break the high of last week and make a move further up. And the daily chart is even better because a reversal signal went off right here, consolidated a bit, and it's above the 20 EMA on the daily chart, so hopefully we can see that move higher. Next stock is Omcl. Again, reversal signal went out, pulled back, then it gapped up higher. We're above the 20 EMA. Hopefully we could see a move up to the 100-day SMA. The weekly chart, not so bad. I could see it making a move to the 20 EMA on the weekly chart. Next stock is Nvro. So definitely a big bullish candle right here. last week, and this 130.55 level is serving as a key resistance point. So hopefully we can get a bounce this week and a move higher. The daily chart. Yeah, so reversal signal did go off, so you know, I like that we broke this resistance level. Hopefully we can make a move to 140. Let's see what happens. All right, next stock is Visa. So we're approaching earnings very soon, and typically with these big name companies, when you're approaching earnings, they tend to gap up, you know, a week, 2 weeks before, leading into earnings. And obviously this reversal signal went off a couple of days ago. Looks like it consolidated, pulled back a bit, and it looks like it's finally time for it to gap up. And the weekly chart, yeah, it doesn't look that bad either. Consolidation. Hopefully we can break this high and make that move up. I want it to break 200, so let's see what happens. All right, next stock is AREE. Similarly with Visa, earnings is approaching very soon. And this is a bit of a bullish flag pattern, so hopefully we can break out this week. The daily chart shouldn't be that bad either. Yeah, so reversal signal went off, pulled back a bit, and now it looks like we're finally gapping up. So definitely one to keep on watch for sure. All right, next stock is EGHT, 8x8 Incorporated. So yeah, I mean, the last day was pretty bullish and it broke this 100-day SMA. I don't like the fact that this reversal signal was just recent. It's a bearish reversal signal, so this could be a, you know, minor pullback before gapping down again, but nonetheless, I'm still going to keep it as one of the stocks that I'm calling out for this week. I do believe it could, you know, make a move higher from the close of Friday. The weekly chart looks better. It's, you know, throughout that bullish reversal signal. The last candlestick was a doji candlestick for last week, so wanted to break out this week, but we are looking at that resistance 20 EMA, so I'm really hoping it doesn't gap down lower. It's possible it could still consolidate before breaking out, but I'm hoping this is the week that it breaks out. All right, next stock is FCN. Like the weekly chart, reversal signal went out, bullish doji stick, looking for that move higher. And this is a daily candlestick, daily chart. So this candlestick, you know, even though it was red, it's a bullish doji, but this one's a bit tricky. You know, I could see it going either way, but I like the fact that it's above the 20 EMA. Hopefully it can reach the 100-day SMA and the 200-day SMA if it breaks that. But sometimes I've seen these doji sticks, and if they basically, you know, stop at the same level, which is like the 114.20 level, it tends to pull back, and you know, this could be served as possible resistance, but that definitely still keep it on watch. Next stock is, all right, PAX. I believe this is Paychex. Yeah. This is a daily, daily chart. Reversal signal went off, bullish doji stick on Friday, so we couldn't see a move higher. But then again, the 20 EMA is in the way. Always that 20 EMA. I wish it could be above it. I'd have more conviction if it was above it, but gonna keep it on watch and still calling it out. The weekly chart. So the last candlestick was this red doji stick. Usually when that happens, there's typically like a bit of consolidation before breaking out. It doesn't break out right away, so I am a little hesitant about this trade. But you know, I think it's possible it could break the high of Friday's close from last week. So next stock is Expo. Like in the weekly chart here. Could see it breaking last week's high and then hopefully all-time highs. I believe this is all-time highs. And, you know, if it breaks 83.54, then we can definitely see a big move up. Daily chart. Reversal signal went off, pulling back, and I think this is the week where it breaks out. So definitely want to keep on watch. All right, 2 more stocks to go. We're almost done, guys. NOC is the next stock. So reversal signal went out recently, and we just got above the 20 EMA. I have seen stocks where it just gets above it and it just comes back down again, where I guess you could call it like a minor pullback, and then eventually breaks out again. So it could be possible that this week isn't the week that it breaks out, but I do have high conviction, and I think this will make a move higher. The weekly chart, I think, especially validates that if you look at it. No, sorry, I was thinking of another stock. I mean, it still doesn't look that bad on the weekly chart. You know, if it could break this high of last week's, then we could possibly make a move to this 20 EMA, which would be a huge a huge move for the stock. And then the last one is BBK. And so BBK is not that much of a volatile stock. The weekly chart looks good. This is a stock I was actually thinking of, I mistake this stock for the last stock we just looked at. I like the weekly chart here because of this bullish doji stick, and especially because it's a green candle, so I could see a move higher. And then the daily chart. Yeah, so the daily chart, it doesn't look as good as the weekly chart, because sometimes when you see this pullback and then a big move up, it tends to pull back again. But still going to call it out for this week. And yep, those are the 15 stocks. You know, there's only so much you could do with technical analysis. You know, you do the best you can with what you're given with. And so not every trade's going to be 100%. But, you know, you just happen to go with your expertise that you've learned over the years and go with your, you know, gut instinct of what you think a stock's going to do. But, you know, a lot of variables go into it, like the news, earnings, things of that nature. But I basically call out my stocks from a technical perspective. And, you know, I've been pretty accurate last week and the week before. So hopefully we can continue that trend up. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, just like and subscribe if you want to see more. And best of luck to all you guys. Take care. Bye.